Hello and welcome back to my channel, HiralsWorld. Today we are going to talk about the most requested topic. I get questions in my DM about this topic a lot and I finally thought of covering it today. How did I manage to convert my study permit directly into PR and how did I skip that work permit process? So I'm going to share all the nitty-gritty details here and I hope that it's going to help you as well because I did do something that was very unique and now I am consulting other people in terms of how they can do it too. So in case if you want to book one-on-one consultation with me, the link is in the description box below. But without further ado, let's just dive straight into this. I strongly believe that if you were to follow something like this, then you will be also able to directly get a PR. And I hope that your journey will be also smoother too. I know that there have been other topics that are pending as well. That is like, how did I manage to buy my home in Canada? That too alone at the age of 26. And I promise I will be covering all of these topics slowly and steadily. But before that, let's just dive deep into this topic. Let's just straight away cut to the chase. So in order to understand how I converted my study permit into PR process, for those of you who are new here, let me just quickly cover up what kind of steps are there when it comes to getting your study permit and then getting your work permit and then finally going for PR. So I moved to Canada on a fully funded scholarship. I got 3 scholarships. One of it was from the government of India and the other 2 scholarships were the local Canadian scholarships. And when I moved here in my second year. And so basically my first year was back home. I was living in Mumbai and doing my undergrad research in Hinduja Hospital. I was a very mediocre student, but I was also a very hardworking student. So what I did was that when I was doing my very first year, I had this research proposal on which I wanted to work. So I met with different people. I am very good at connecting with people. I love talking to them. So at that point in time, I met this lady who was working in Hinduja Hospital at the time. She put me up in touch with somebody. And then that's how I kind of just got my way around and then started working as a research assistant part-time in Hinduja Hospital and started collaborating with Tata Cancer Institute. Now, this is my very first year, and this is what got me the scholarship with Canadian government as well as with Indian government, because the whole process is explained over here. I don't want to get into all of that. I'm really sorry because I don't have a script prepared for it. So I might just dive to another topic. So I will try to keep it straightforward. So, okay. I got my study permit. I came here on a fully funded scholarship. I started my second, third, and fourth year. I studied here. I studied science. Okay. And in science, I'd say I studied cancer nutrition, which is preventing cancer with diet or with nutrition or with nutrigenomics. That is altering your genes and everything. So in short, it was all about medicine, STEM background, science background with nutrition and stuff. And then as soon as I graduated, I directly applied for PR. And why did I apply for PR? Because number one, when I was moving to Canada, I was also of course, researching other countries as well. And I had kind of rough idea about what kind of systems go in play, what routes are there for me to apply, which province is actually good for me, depending on my education and what I'm going to do in the future. So I did do a lot of research beforehand. And then even after coming in Canada, when I was studying here for 3 years, I did also do that research as well. So basically my research was ongoing, right? But initially, when it was decided that Canadian government and Indian government is sponsoring me with the highest money to come to Canada, because this was the destination, the moment it was decided, I was already looking at different options. So let's first understand which are the options of settling in Canada, right? So first, there is something called as provincial nomination. Now, each province has its own nomination program in which you get your points. So basically, what it means is that the province in Canada, for example, I am located in British Columbia. So British Columbia in Canada says that, hey, you know what? I need people in tech. I need people in medicine. I need people in, let's say, trades and marketing to settle here, right? Because we need more people here, for example. Same for Ontario government. Let's say Ontario government says that, oh, I am looking for somebody who is in labor skills or who is a project manager or who has more of an MBA degree and things like that. So then different provinces, they will decide who they want to nominate. And that's because in that province, that particular skills is in shortage. And that's why they want to participate in that nomination program. Now, this is PNP. It's usually called Provincial Nomination Program. And that's true for every part of Canada. You go to any province in Canada and you will be finding it. So the second route is called Express Entry route. Now, in this route, everybody applies, right? Anybody who is within Canada or outside Canada can apply. So you must have noticed that there are people who directly move to Canada on PR. And those are the people who have applied from back home for the permanent residency under Express Entry, and then they are getting it. Now, even under Express Entry, there are different types of Express Entries. So, but right now, let's just keep it very simple. International Experience Class Express Entry. So it means that if you have work experience back in your country, and you have like point based system. So there's a point for age, there are points for your work experience, there are points for studying, how much you have studied, there are points for like working within Canada and having like work experience within Canada too. So these are the point based system for international experience class. So that is something that people usually apply under. And the competition is quite fierce because it's a point based system. So, of course, the higher the point you have, the better your chances of getting into the draw. And then it's more like a lucky draw system, if you were to name it, right? The third way of coming to Canada is called Skills Immigration Trades Program or Skills Immigration Worker Program. So, basically, you can also apply for express entry through that program as well. There's also something called as Canadian Experience Class Program. So, basically, under these programs, like, you can have like a job or you can have something like skills trade related job, and then you can apply for it. So these are the programs, like the basic idea, okay, just to give you that what all entry levels are there when it comes to getting PR in Canada. So how did I manage to get my study permit directly into PR? Now I want to say disclaimer that moving into this, like I didn't know that this is the route that I will be taking, but I did know that I wanted to minimize the amount of efforts that it would take when it comes to me for paying for work permit, as well as when it comes to me paying for PR. In the end, I did have to end up paying for both, and I will give you this horror story as well. But in general, when I was researching everything, I just wanted to keep my options open. So how did I do this? Is once I got my study permit expired, so basically I completed my program in April, and then I graduated in May. So here in Canada, once you complete your program, you get something called as program completion certificate. And then on the basis of that, you can apply for your work permit. Now your study permit usually expires a little bit after all of this process is done. So my study permit was expiring somewhere in September. So I had enough time. I knew that I have time to apply for work permit or for PR. And during that time, when I got my completion certificate, I also got a job offer from one of the employers who I was already working with at the time. And it was a school. So in a school, they got me a job to teach as well as develop curriculum for them. So I got that job offer already. And at the same time, I also wanted to do another course, but then I didn't want to pay international tuition fees. So what I did was that I applied for express entry just as a student, like just with my research assistantship from back home that I was doing in Hinduja Hospital. Now, the tricky part was that research assistantship was paid, but again, it was kind of a student job, right? So I didn't know whether I can count it or not. So I still applied for it. And simultaneously, I also applied for my work permit as well, because I didn't want to take a chance of not having anything and then losing the one full-time job offer that I had here. At that point in time, I also got another 2 different offers, but then I just didn't want to take a chance. So I sticked with the job that I had, and I just wanted to get it done. Now here is where things got a little bit better. Because I knew about PNP as well, I also applied through PNP route. Now here is where most of the students do not know how they can do this. So under PNP, you have 3 different routes, and in PNP, because I studied from the University of British Columbia, which is the second best university in Canada, and that's where I'm working now as well. And also that's where I got my second job offer at the time, but I didn't end up taking it. I took it afterwards. So basically, University of British Columbia is one of the recognized institutions. And so if you were to apply for PNP as an international graduate, then you get extra points. So basically, knowing this route existed, what I did was I created my express entry profile online, and then I also applied for PNP. And then once I got the PNP letter, I connected that PNP with my express entry, and that's how my points were, I think, probably around 410 or something. But then with PNP, you get 600 extra points. So I got right away extra points. Now understand, my study permit was valid. I was still able to work, right? My work permit was under process, and at the same time, I had already submitted my express entry profile. Now, here's where things got tricky. All of this, I think, happened somewhere in May, because in the month of May, I graduated. I got my graduation certificate, which you have to upload because it cannot be counted as your express entry, because you don't get points for your study permit or for completing your studies. And there are a good amount of points for completing studies from Canadian institution. So all in all, I submitted my express entry profile. I submitted my work permit profile, and now I'm waiting, right? Somewhere 2nd of September, I was at work, and I got this email. It says that we are refusing your work permit. And oh my God, I was literally in shock. I just didn't understand why. Because starting from scratch, I have done everything on my own. I applied for my own study permit. I applied for my own, like, college applications, every single thing. I've done everything on my own. And I didn't know, what did I do wrong? What happened here? So I was just so shocked that I directly like ran out of my class and I just started calling. I called Canadian Immigration Services to see what is happening. Why are they rejecting it? It was almost like I was not processing anything. I didn't understand anything. But then the guy on the opposite end said that, oh, it looks like your PR is approved, and that's why like they, probably must have said that this is not approved. And I didn't have any confirmation on my profile in terms of that my PR is approved. So I didn't know how to feel at the time. And he just said that, hey, you know what, wait for a few hours, you will get an email. So then I got an email saying that my PR was approved, and thank God, like I will still not forget that day, the turmoil of emotions that I was going through. So now in this case, what learning can you get? In 2024, the point system has a little bit increased. So at the time when I was applying, I think the point-based system was like probably at around 480 was the cutoff. So right now it's about 510, 520, something like that. So you have to first identify whether the province that you are in, is it giving PNP to you? If it's not giving PNP to you, then go and find out which other province is giving PNP and move to that province. Seriously, if you have not started your career, it's very easy to move to that province, because especially if the province is giving you PNP, that means that your job is in demand in that province. So why not move there, right? Secondly, you have to do your own research. And I always tell this, even in my one-on-one consultation, which I am taking recently. So I get a lot of the people like asking me how they can move. And I always give them ways in which they can move. I help them as well. But when they ask me which province should I go for, and I tell them, and then they have to do their own research in order to understand how they can apply. So in case if you want to get in touch with my team for study abroad consultation, which is totally free of cost, I'm going to put the link in the description box below. And if in case you want to get in touch with me to figure out how you can settle in Canada or somewhere abroad, then feel free to again book an appointment with me as well. So then that's that. In terms of next steps, it was pretty smooth from there. So something that I did was like, of course, take photographs after that, and then I sent my my documents and everything to the Canadian government, and then they sent me something called a COPR, which is confirmation of permanent residence. Now I live here alone, and at that time I wasn't driving, right? I didn't have a car. I didn't know, or rather I didn't even know somebody who had a car, like no relative, nobody. So in order to convert your COPR into like PR card, you have to go to the border, or you have to like cross the border. And I wasn't in a situation where I would have done either of those. So then here is the other thing that I came to know, that there are some offices around here where you can actually take your COPR and you can do like almost the same process what you would do at the border. So I had an office just like 20 minutes from my place. So I went there, and then I kind of like just exchanged it for my PR card, which was super simple, to be honest. But then not many people are aware of this. So do know that in case if you don't have like a car, or you don't have anybody, there are ways in which you can just convert it within the country, and it could be just like 20 minutes SkyTrain ride, so do your own research. Again, going back to the same topic. And lastly, after 3 years of like having a PR card, you can always apply for citizenship. I got the citizenship at the age of 27, so like after 3 years of living here, you can get a citizenship as well. So that's that. I really hope that this story was helpful for you. All in all, I'd say that do your research, don't lose hope, because there are several ways of settling in Canada, and you don't want to waste your youth trying to like understand different parts, but rather just focus on getting your PR. And lastly, if you have any more questions, I really hope that I made sense here, but if you have any more questions, feel free to put them in the comment section below, and I'll be very happy to help you. Thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your day or your night wherever you are in the world, and good luck.